There's live.
Live, Oscar?
Give it a second.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we are live.
Okay, thank you. We can get started.
Good afternoon. The June 3rd, 2021 regular board meeting of the City Colleges of Chicago is now called to order. For the record, the state of Illinois continues to operate under a statewide disaster proclamation, first issued by Governor Pritzker on March 9, 2020, and reaffirmed on March 28, 2021. I would like to also note that we continue to be subject to restrictions in the size and types of gatherings that are permissible in the current phase of the state of Illinois Restore Illinois program, as well as under Public Health Order 2020-9, 6 amended and reissued by the Commissioner of Health of the City of Chicago. Today, we meet virtually to undertake certain actions necessary for the continued operation of the district. Will the Chief Advisor please call the roll?
Chair Massey,
Here.
Vice Chair Swanson,
Here.
Trustee Tillman, Trustee Kent,
Here.
Trustee Williams,
Here.
Trustee Davis,
Here.
Trustee Faisal Hogue.
Here.
Thank you.
So let the record show that in accordance with the Illinois Public Community College Act and the Illinois Open Meeting Act, we do have a quorum. So good afternoon. Earlier today, the Committee on Academic Affairs and Student Services met. Vice Chair Swanson will tell us more about that later, but I wanted to note that if you're interested in viewing the proceedings of that committee, you can visit the City Colleges of Chicago YouTube page. When will the pandemic end and life get back to normal? That's the question we're all asking ourselves. Our governor has targeted June 11th. I believe that's the right date. And hopefully that will be the date when at least Illinois can emerge. There does seem to be a light at the end of the tunnel. Every day we see more people going about their business, everyday lives and businesses opening up. And I believe everyone certainly is ready to get back to normal. So as we steadily forge ahead with vaccinations, let's hope it will only be a brief time before that happens throughout the city and certainly in our city colleges, institutions. This month, we also recognize and celebrate the valuable contribution of our LGBTQ+ community. And on behalf of my colleagues on the board, I want to offer our hearty congratulations and well wishes to the City of Colleges of Chicago's graduating class of 2021. Congratulations to all of you, if any of you happen to tune in to this broadcast. On that note, speaking of students, I'd like student Imran Fawzi Hope, would you proceed with your report?
Thank you, Chair Massey. Good afternoon, everyone. The Student Government Association has officially closed one term and now in full swing with our new leadership teams, with leadership development and programming. I first want to send a large thank you to each of our student activities director for the time, energy, and effort that they continue to bring with and for us as a student daily. I don't think they get acknowledged enough outside of making sure our events are planned, but they make a significant impact to campus and to us as a students hoping to develop and support us throughout our journey. They go above and beyond and are truly committed to making our student experience unmatched. Those directors are Michael Jones, Kennedy King, Moniz Parnell, Olive Harvey, Katie Ordinario Wright, Aja Humphrey, Harold Washington, Beverly Hicks, Daly, Jerica Torrey Johnson, Malcolm X, Danica Wilson, Truman. Speaking of our directors, they are currently in the process of finalizing our student leaders SGA summer training. Our training will take place for the entire month of July and cover a variety of topics to help prepare us for our roles and positions for the academic year. So stay tuned to hear more as our training unfolds. With that, please congratulate our newly elected 2021 to 2022 officers of each campus. Mention everyone by name. Daly, Kenya Ortiz, President. Jesharans Todson, Treasurer. Harold Washington, Carolina, President. Evan, Vice President. Molly, Treasurer. Sonat, Secretary. Kennedy King, Harmedel Jordan, President. Sophia Aranda, Vice President. Marketa Sims, Treasurer. Maya Williams, Secretary. Malcolm X, Bright Osazua, President. Elena Parsons, Vice President. Oluvokola Fazimi, Treasurer. Brina Webster, Senator. Olive Harvey, Stephanie Max, President. Stephanie Reyes Paz, Vice President. Darana Fain, Secretary. Brandon Cousins, Treasurer. Truman. Dana Ray, President. Ryan Bono, Vice President. Maria Wallner, Secretary. Wright. Cody Castle, President. Dominica Panic, Vice President. Rachel D. Mata, Treasurer. Samuel Gargard, Secretary. Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States, commemorating African American freedom and emphasizing education and achievement. This year, we have two events as a directed district team for everyone to participate in. SGA leadership teams, Daly, Malcolm X, Truman collaborated efforts for the Juneteenth video that will be shared via the district level. We are also extremely excited to report that we are collaborating with our college presidents to host a panel discussion. That's right, we called and our president answered. Join us on Thursday, June 17th at 2 p.m. to learn more about Juneteenth from the point of view of the presidents of each college in the city colleges of Chicago, emceed by the student government leaders. Join us for this celebration. Our marketing will be finalized and shared by Friday, June 4th. Please reach out to your campus student activities director for more information. I would like to end my report by saying that every human being deserves a chance to experience their endless potential, and it begins with the journey of education. The outcome of it should be the goal to empower our communities as a collective society. Thank you.
Thank you, Student Trustee Fazal. And now, Chancellor Salgado, please, your report.
Thank you, Chair Massey. Good afternoon to everybody. I want to start too by congratulating our graduates. We had our virtual commencement ceremony, a wonderful upbeat event where we celebrated more than 4,000 associate's degree completers. And that's quite a bit to celebrate. I want to publicly thank you, Chair Massey, for your comments to our graduates, as well as Mayor Lightfoot, Governor Pritzker for delivering remarks, And to anyone and everyone who watched the ceremony, if you haven't, you can still view it online at ccc.edu/graduation. As you might know, our graduates are headed off to do some really amazing things. We had students accepted at universities from Stanford University in California, to Columbia University in New York, to many, many colleges here at home: Northwestern UIC, Chicago State, Northeastern, National Louis. I can go on. We also see students who are headed into full-time roles after successful apprenticeships and internships. We see others launching careers as nurses, as early childhood educators, as entrepreneurs. The diversity of our student body, their purpose, their goals, and their futures is just a sight to see and wonderful to observe during this time of commencement. I want to thank everyone who organized the event. I specifically want to thank the faculty and staff, the leadership of our colleges and across our district, who all have worked tirelessly to help our students to reach their goals, and to thank students themselves for their tireless work, especially during this pandemic, to make sure they hit this milestone, an incredible milestone for them at an incredibly challenging period of time. Much congratulations to our students for being the role models that they are. As Chair Massey shared, Chicago's making significant strides with regards to COVID. We continue to urge people who have not already done so to get vaccinated. Daly College and Wright College remain walk-in vaccination sites. Malcolm X College has received very positive reaction to its new vaccine ambassador class. This is a free course offered through continuing education that arms the community with facts about the vaccines so they can pass them on to their friends and neighbors. I want to be clear that as the city begins to open up, so will we. We eagerly anticipate June 11th with the promise that that will open up many more opportunities that we will be able to have to serve our students in person, to return to our buildings in greater numbers, and to provide many more options for our students than they even had before the pandemic, because we have built new capabilities in order to serve our students. As I shared with staff in a note some time ago, City Colleges of Chicago faculty and staff will return to work on staggered schedules starting the week of July 6th. City Colleges will continues to follow the guidance of the Chicago Department of Public Health on all safety precautions, and we will inform our community about any significant changes in our practices, again, with an eye on the June 11th announcement. In the committee meeting today, we received a presentation about the great progress being made on our technology strategy, and during our district updates, we will hear about the progress of the Chicago Road Network, our unprecedented partnership with Chicago Public Schools. So I'm very excited about both of these efforts and eager to hear their presentations, the Chicago Roadmap presentation in a few minutes. I do want to mention, since Student Trustee Imran shared about Juneteenth, we are providing an early dismissal and have encouraged our colleges to have events on commemorating Juneteenth, as well as providing that early dismissal for the celebration of the holiday. We do understand that the state legislature has approved this as a state holiday, and we'll be monitoring that closely as it goes to the governor for signature. The other thing I want to mention today is our proposed FY22 budget. We have put a budget forth. It is balanced, and I'm going to say a few words about it in advance of a budget hearing that we will have in a few days. The unrestricted and enterprise operating budget of $312 $20 million represents a 4.3% increase from prior fiscal years as we invest for the long term. Recognizing the economic strain of the pandemic on our students and their families, this budget holds the credit hour rate at $146 level for, let me say this, the 6th straight year. City Colleges has held tuition at this rate for the 6th straight year. This budget reflects our commitment to providing our students and communities with an exceptional student experience, quality and responsive, affordable education, equitable student outcomes, and a collaborative, healthy environment underpinned by a culture of excellence. I want to point out a few key investments, which include a comprehensive suite of student supports to improve access, retention, and completion, a robust offering of remote, online, and in-person learning options, a continuation of both virtual student services along with in-person student services, academic programs that ensure students are prepared for the economic recovery, the Chicago Roadmap, which you'll hear about, obviously resources to continue to ensure the health and safety of our students, faculty, and staff, and prevent against the resurgence of COVID-19. We've enhanced marketing and enrollment infrastructure to attract and retain an exceptional and diverse student body. We've restored City College of Chicago athletics, and we have a modest capital program for emerging programs, technology, deferred maintenance, and life safety infrastructure. The budget will be considered by the Board of Trustees in July. A public hearing is scheduled June 15th at 4 p.m. And will be held remotely. So I do want to close by recognizing the City Colleges of Chicago community, the hard work that everyone has done this past year to ensure City Colleges remains a source of stability and upward mobility for our students. I'm really looking forward to this coming fiscal year. I'm looking forward to seeing many more of our students in person on campus, in their environments, having their events as they had their events pre-pandemic. But also I'm looking forward to the greater levels of choice that students will have as regards to both in-person instruction, in-person services, as well as the virtual now student services support, as well as the online live courses that we now have, as well as the greater suite of online courses. And so, you know, as we look beyond the pandemic, we could look forward to the fact that we have more choices for our students coming out of the pandemic than we had choices for our students going into the pandemic. And as an institution, we will continue to build upon that foundation to strengthen our ability to serve our students well. That concludes my report, Chair Massey.
I think you're muted, Chair.
Thank you, Chancellor Salgado. We will now move to public participation. Today, there are 5 requests to speak. For our public speakers, a clock will appear on the screen that will show you your allotted time. So when that clock appears now, we appreciate your understanding and ask you to try to stick to the allotted time in deference to the rest of your people who would like to speak. So let us proceed. Chief Advisor, please proceed.
Okay, the first speaker, Annette Ward.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good afternoon to Chancellor Salgado, the board members, provost, ooh, Provost Potter, Dr. Jackson, VP Counter, and all other presidents and VPs. I wanted to speak today to air my concerns for a safe workplace. I have been at Truman College almost 37 years in the financial aid office. When I was 28 years old, I contracted chickenpox from a student who came in the office to check on her financial aid. Within 24 hours, my body was loaded with bumps. I remember it being on a Friday, and I was moving that Saturday. I was part-time then, and I had no insurance, so I had to go to the emergency room to have it confirmed it was indeed chickenpox. I was off work for about 3 weeks and lost pay. Moving forward, 32 years puts us in COVID-19. So far, I have been lucky in not contracting this virus by following all the necessary guidelines. And now that the world is opening back up, which is to be expected, but we are still not out of the woods. Therefore, 1708 wholeheartedly feel that we still need to have safety measures in place to ensure as we move forward, we do not encounter any deaths. This should never be an option. This is why we want you to step up and take seriously the concerns of 1708 and show us that our lives matter too, regardless of whether we are vaccinated or not. It is a proven fact that we can still get sick and pass the virus to make others sick. We want the right to be in a safe environment while we're working, and we want our concerns to be taken seriously by you, Chancellor Salgado, and this board. And we want your assurance that you will work effortlessly to make it happen. We are a little over a month from returning to work, and 1708 would like to see the vague concerns see the vague answers to our concerns to stop and show us by your actions that it's not just about the student, it's about all of us. And we want you to show us that our lives matters. Thank you for letting me speak. Annette Ward, and I'm under 3 minutes.
Thank you. The next speaker is Beth Otabiani.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Hello. My name is Beth Otabiani. I have over 20 years of teaching experience, and currently I'm a GED instructor at Truman. I teach NRS Level 3 language arts classes equivalent to the 4th to 6th grade reading level. I have polled my students about the option of hybrid classes versus in-person, and over 80% of my students throughout the pandemic learning experience expressed the need and desire for in-person learning. My students, like many others in GED classes, struggle to learn and study independently and have difficulties concentrating in their home environments. My students have shared their reasons with me. Some include family members are interrupting, many noise distractions, music, TV, children in the background, and shared living spaces. Along with this, I have noticed that many of my students have challenges with technology. When given the choice to end a Zoom meeting early so they can finish an activity on their own, the majority of my students ask to continue on Zoom with their peers and myself present. Also, my students have expressed their need to work together in a classroom, for example, peer editing, group discussions, and assisting each other with the assignments. I urge you to think of our population and GED students and give them a voice and choice in the instruction mode. The hybrid model as the only option sets our students up for failure. On a separate but related note, I would like you to reconsider the policy of no more than 4 repeats or 4 times in a specific level class. On my campus during online learning, NSR Level 3 is the lowest level offered for language arts GED classes. I have reviewed my students' TABE scores, and I have Level 2 students placed in my class. My level is very challenging for them. We are doing these students a disservice by not allowing them the time they need to be successful and advance to the appropriate level. I also believe that this policy should be revisited in all classes, especially over the past year of online instruction and learning. Please take all of this into consideration. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. The next speaker, Audrey Butler.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon, Chancellor Salgado, Chair Massey, trustees, district officers, other attendees and guests. My name is Audrey Butler. I am retired and was a 33.5-year employee with the City College of Chicago. I am the Executive Vice President of the Federation of College Clerical and Technical Personnel, Local 1708. City Colleges is planning on reopening in some fashion within the next month, but no communications had been made about what this will look like or what it means for our members, City College's employees. No plans have been shared with the union. No discussion of safety measures or protocols. How can City Colleges reopen cleanly and safely when we have a member who notified campus that they were coming into the office, asked the office to be clean, got confirmation that it was clean, and then arrived to rodent droppings and urine all over the desk and floor, and remnants of gnawed on styrofoam all over the place as well? If basic cleanliness of rodent droppings cannot be addressed, how is City Colleges going to keep the campus COVID-19 precaution compliant? We do have photographs of this incident. Also, Local 1708 is aware of at least 2 instances where contract tracing has failed. Individuals who were in close contact with a person who tested positive were never contacted by district office, but found out either from the individual who tested positive themselves or from secondhand confirmation. Health and safety is one of our City Colleges of Chicago reopening concerns. Please work with 1708 so their members will return to a safe environment. We appreciate City Colleges. We love our students. We love working for City Colleges. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next speaker is Melanie Allison.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon, Provost, Chancellor, all board members, and everyone in attendance. My name is Melanie Allison. I'm a 23-year employee, proud member of 1708, currently working in the business office at Harold Washington College. I come to you on behalf of my fellow 329 1708 members to express concerns on reopening. We understand we have to come back to work. It's not that we do not want to come back to work. The issue is that we want to be safe when we come back to work. We feel that there is a lack of safety in our concerns. There were issues before COVID with cleanliness and sanitation. So now that we have COVID, we've been out of the building a year, and we want to make sure that all issues have been corrected in cleanliness. I'm not even, Audrey went into the mice. I'm not going to readdress that, but that was before. It's still going on, and that's unacceptable. Also, our spirits are low. The members feel like while we've been working from home, we saw emails and resources flying out about students who are dealing with COVID-related issues, but nothing came out to us to see how we were doing. Some of us had COVID, had family members with COVID, and lost friends and family to COVID. I am one of those people, and nothing ever came out to address that. One, we feel that the category of resources just weren't there for us. We are first responders. We're the first ones the students see when they come into the building. 50% of the time, it's security, I would say first, and then it's us. So what we need concern about being safe when we return. Also, we would like to know about the 20 COVID days that were in place during COVID, when COVID began. Will those still be in place when we return and one of us were to catch COVID? Another concern is proper ventilation, proper cleaning, and PPE. We've already found out masks were safe and masks are mandatory. You all issued us 2 cloth masks, but what about disposable masks that are available to everyone as far as PPP? So when the students come in and don't have a mask, they're not just pulling up a shirt, that they have a mask, or even employees that we have a mask. Members have also expressed the need for face shields when dealing with students. The plexiglass is there, but it's not always safe. Some of it is flimsy. I've been in the building. Some of it is hanging from the ceiling and it's swaying back and forth. If you are a taller person and you're speaking, you're still being exposed. So that needs to be an issue that we're concerned that needs to be addressed, as well as water. The water hasn't been running through any of these buildings for a year almost, because we have not been there. So our issue is that be looked at and addressed as well.
Okay, Ms. Allison, your 3 minutes are up. The next speaker is Rachel Azarello. Azarello.
Hello, esteemed members of the board.
Okay, we can hear you.
Okay. Hello, esteemed members of the City College Board. As she said, I am Rachel Azarello. I am an ASME 3506 general member and adult educator with 14 years experience. I am called here today to speak on behalf of the adult education, adult ABE, HSE program, so adult basic education, high school equivalency. First, I would like to publicly thank President Jackson of Truman for his earnestness in listening to our teachers, and teachers are beyond glad to know that all of the GED classes will not be made into hybrid in fall 2021. However, I follow City Colleges closely, and I know that the trajectory towards hybrid education as the norm for our instruction is not over. The push for hybrid came in 2019, August 2019, when at a board meeting, it was publicly announced that they would first be offered. And as this was pre-COVID, interest was very low. However, these classes ran anyway. And today, despite a current mandate from our Associate Vice Chancellor, Maureen Fitzpatrick, that classes reach a specific number of enrollees, then in 2019, and now hybrid classes run even if there are less than 10 enrolled. I made a chart if anybody would like to see it. Thus, we can conclude that there are different standards based on the objective of district. Yet, we as teachers are very important stakeholders and have never been given an answer as to why. What problem is hybrid standardized instruction supposedly solving? First, instruction was cut for most of our classes when ABC Fitzpatrick mandated all classes be aligned to 96 hours. We still don't quite understand why that is either. And with hybrid, you're again cutting access to student supports, their biggest support, which is us, the teachers. In fact, Truman adult teachers collectively have over 200,000 hours of interaction with GED students, and yet no one has thought to ask us our opinions about this. Given the district's commitment to data, where is the data that shows that students do better with less teacher interaction? If your goal, and it is to increase retention and have more students transfer into credit, hybrid will not be the means to this end. As of now, at Truman at least, we were told only 2 of the lowest adult ed classes would be offered face-to-face and in the morning, and there is no plan to bring us back to campus. We don't want to dismiss the concerns of the unions who are present today, being told they have to go back, But at the end of the day, our students, some of the most vulnerable populations in the city, need differentiated learning or choices in how they will learn, and not unlike Chancellor made in his opening remarks. I have a small solution. As the biggest community college institution in the state, if you are truly interested in having more retention and credit transfers, I would urge you to lobby the ICCB to rescind the maximum repeat rule currently stifling our program. In fact, in the Impact Summit, the panel on enrollment and community college student success showed students who enroll continuously have a better chance of success. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Chair, that was the last speaker. I think you're on mute.
I want to thank all of our public speakers for taking the time to prepare your thoughtful remarks and to bring these issues to the attention of the board and the administration. It's now, the next item is to hear from the head of our faculty council, Professor Spruer. Please proceed with your report.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Oh, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Chairperson Massey, Board of Trustees, Chancellor Salgado, Provost Potter, officers of the district, faculty, staff, and all others streaming, good afternoon. It's my honor to speak to you all today, particularly as this month is Pride Month and also contains Juneteenth. As a child, I remember, and actually, let me just start here. Normally, I have very long speeches that take up about 7 pages. This one only takes up 4, so I just want us to keep that in mind as I'm reading that. I am going someplace and it's much shorter than normal. So as a child, I remember my parents taking me to the annual Juneteenth parades in Milwaukee. It will return this year after missing last year due to the pandemic and be the 50th Juneteenth parade held there. At the time, to me, it was like no other parade, except it was much blacker. As I grew to realize, it was a holiday that mostly only African Americans were aware of and celebrated. In light of the year of racial tensions, uprisings, and reckonings that we've had, and that were arguably well overdue, I think it's important to discuss Juneteenth and the national holiday it foreruns, July the 4th. As an institution seeking equity, diversity, and inclusivity, understanding how these holidays are inextricably in conversation with each other can help us to situate and contextualize the work we aim to do. Frederick Douglass, in a speech given at Rochester, New York, July 5th, 1852, asked, quote, "What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year, the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham, your boasted liberty an unholy license, your national greatness, swelling vanity. Your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your denunciation of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence. Your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery. Your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity, are, to him, mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy. A thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages. There is not a nation on earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of the United States at this very hour," end quote. While Americans of the mid-1800s celebrated independence from Great Britain, the ideals fought for and artfully spelled out in the Declaration of Independence, the indisputable fact that all men are created equal and held in certain inalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, were ideals that were only afforded to white Americans. And even when ethnic whites weren't necessarily included under that umbrella of men, it stands to reason that the commodification of the very bodies of enslaved people of African descent, that they were certainly not a thought in the drafters' minds. As the nation approached its 3rd year of a bloody civil war, the Federal Army was in desperate need of soldiers, but enlisting Blacks was banned by Congress in 1792. Knowing that the only way to win a losing war was to enlist more soldiers, President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. While it freed slaves, what we don't speak about is how it allowed them to join the army. President Lincoln was waiting for a battle victory to announce the emancipation and did not have one. Lincoln's saving grace was that on September 17th, 1862, at the Battle of Antietam, where more federal soldiers were killed in combat than federal soldiers, the Confederates withdrew from battle and the Federal Army claimed the draw as a victory. 5 days later, President Lincoln published the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation, threatening the 10 states in rebellion with the freedom of the enslaved if they didn't come back to the Union and accept him as their president. As they had been winning battles to that point, those states saw no need to surrender, so Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation and enlisted Black soldiers, literally tasking them to give up their bodies for their freedom. So, what is often thought to be an act of moral strength on behalf of Lincoln can also be read as an act of desperation in effort to maintain the American empire. Again, because they had been winning battles, Texas continued the practice of slavery for another 2 or so years, about 2.5 years. So let's cut into the important part. A month after the end of the Civil War, Union General Gordon Granger, tasked with enforcing emancipation, arrived at Galveston and issued General Orders No. 3, a very short but meaningful message to Texas slaveholders. It reads, "The people of Texas are informed that, in accordance with the proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection theretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts and that they will not be supported in idleness either there or elsewhere." End quote. Why is this history important to what we do? First, while all he had to do was ensure that slavery ended, his message in no uncertain terms recognized the equality between Black and white Americans. We must similarly continue to recognize the value of equality and difference. This time last year, we were embroiled in riots and messaging that left many feeling devalued. I'm certain that that was not the intention, but it was received that way. To date, I want to remark on how drastically that has changed. The messaging that we see that comes from our admin feels genuine, and in most cases, when I see it, I have a sense of pride about how our district officers are vocally responding to issues of diversity. The hire of Dr. Bruce King, the AVC of Racial Equity, a position that we didn't have previously, is another way in which we are taking steps in the right direction. We have had the opportunity as FC4 to meet with him in our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee meeting, and we look forward to continuing to work with him. Diversity and equity are commonplace buzzwords in almost every industry. So it's our hope that his position is not one that merely checks off boxes so that we are in step with current trends, but that we are, as I believe us to be, truly committed to this work. That means more than healing circles and programming, but also the way that we look at policy and practice. I must note that while we're speaking on equality, while we will enjoy a full day on the 4th to celebrate the independence of white people from the oppression of other white people who sent them to this country to expand empire, which was a gruesome undertaking, killing and displacing millions of indigenous people and forcing Blacks into chattel slavery, we will only have half a day to commemorate an event that should be about hope, resilience, and a promise to live up to the ideals of this country. I hope that in the future, we can give our students and faculty and staff a full day to reflect on this occasion, as this year, many will be unable to even join the programming that so many have put together because they will be working. Finally, in General Granger's order, while he noted the equality of the races, he also made it very clear that former slaves would receive no assistance from the government. As we reflect on Juneteenth and its history, we cannot ignore that freedom came with nothing else. The work that we do should in a way be a form of reparations. As we look around our society and see the damage that the lack of investment in communities who are owed due to the contributions to our society receive nothing, this disinvestment has been extremely challenging and left many without much. Last week marked the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Massacre, but it wasn't the only large-scale act of violence against African Americans. In our state alone, there was one in 1917 in East St. Louis, in 1908 in Springfield, and in 1919 right here in Chicago, in which 38 people died, mostly Black, and between 1,000 to 2,000 Black people lost their homes. While we acknowledge the physical violence enacted upon Black people in our city, we also have to recognize the violence that we visit upon people when we disinvest in their education, and how that reinforces General Granger's message by leaving people with nothing to create better lives for themselves. I'm glad to say that through the philanthropic work of the foundation, through scholarship opportunities and efforts to reduce tuition, we are combating this sort of disinvestment. We look forward to finding more ways to do this. In conclusion, I look at what we have achieved over this past year with hope that some of our failures of the past, we can overcome. It's not easy work, and it is often mired in much emotion, but we, the faculty of the city colleges, support it and will continue to engage with the board and our admin to come closer to the goals of real equity, diversity in all areas, and creating inclusive spaces. If there are no questions or comments from the board, that concludes my report.
Any questions or comments? Thank you very much, Professor Spruill. It was very enlightening and important remark. It's now time for the district update. May have noticed we have been focusing on the programmatic offerings at the individual colleges during the district update. We've heard from Truman, Kennedy King, and Malcolm X in the prior months. Today, however, we're not going to focus on a particular college. We will have a presentation on a topic you've heard a lot about, the Chicago Roadmap. The presentation will be by Dr. Peggy Corrales, who's been a leader in this effort, and Ms. Katie Dorpinghouse. The slides from today's presentation will also be posted with the board reports after the meeting. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Corrales.
You're on mute, Peggy.
Yep.
Okay, now everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Chair Massey. Thank you for having us today. We're very excited to be able to share with you some of the highlights and accomplishments over this past year with the Chicago Roadmap. You can go to the next slide. We're going to briefly review do an overview of the roadmap in terms of what it is. We're going to talk a little bit more about the implementation of our 25 working groups, and we're going to give a major highlight in each of our domains. And then we'll just do a quick recap of our campaign progress and our FY22 planning. Next slide. So just as a quick refresher, the Chicago Roadmap is a very comprehensive partnership agreement between the City Colleges of Chicago and the Chicago Public Schools that really seeks to align our strategy in this middle section here where our strategies overlap to create more and better opportunities for students and to really invest in transformational practices that will increase the public education value proposition for Chicago's students. We can go to the next slide. So when the roadmap was being developed, we took a really comprehensive review of our artifacts, both from CPS and from city colleges, and looked at student data disaggregated and across all domains to really see what are the strengths that are emerging out of Chicago and where are our challenge areas. So the Chicago Roadmap is really based in the 12 challenges that emerged from all of this research. So what we did is we took these challenges and put them into 5 domains. So these are our big buckets of work.
I don't know if everybody else, but my slides are not in focus. Is that just me?
Yeah, I can see them.
Mine are okay.
I can see them, huh? They're not focused though. Okay, maybe it's just my computer. All right, go ahead, Sarah.
Okay. So there are 5 big domains, which we consider our buckets of work. And then within each domains, we have these strategies that we consider are game changers for equity. So these are the strategies that if we really focus on implementing and changing the landscape in these 9 areas, we know that we will have significantly changed the landscape for Chicago's students. So for domain 1, the domain is academic readiness and success, and our game-changing strategies are about making sure that students graduate from high school college ready in both math and English, and also opportunities to convene our faculty across our institutions to talk about curriculum, student expectations, student work, and all those really important things. Domain 2 is access to high quality programs, and this is where we're working on strategic dual credit pathways. Domain 3 is student advising and success. We're really focused here on the journey, the academic advising and wraparound supports, streamlining the enrollment processes, and improving support for diverse learners as well. Domain 4 is career exploration, experience, and readiness, and this is all about giving students opportunities to explore careers and to have meaningful work-based learning experiences. And domain 5 is transparency, alignment, and collaboration, where this is the glue. This is the domain that is the glue, where it helps us build this long-term infrastructure that will allow us to continue the work even beyond the life of the roadmap. Okay, next slide. This is a vision, really, of what the roadmap will look like fully implemented through the eyes of a student journey. So in 9th grade, students will begin, they will have access to career exploration and experiences and have the opportunities to jump into some of our new strategic pathways that allow them to earn dual credits and to engage in these career opportunities. As students go into the 12th grade, they will have more early college experience. They'll be able to enroll in transitional math and English courses, which we'll talk about, and have opportunities for youth apprenticeships through our career launch efforts, and also earn industry recognized credentials. After students graduate, they'll be college ready in math and English. They'll have selected a pathway based on lots of deep exploration and an understanding of different careers, and they will have the navigator support to help them seamlessly enroll in their post-secondary opportunities. Once they get into college, we'll provide them with the necessary wraparound supports and ensure that they're able to persist and graduate. So this is sort of the vision of what the roadmap will look like and do for students once it's fully implemented. Okay, next slide. This is just a quick snapshot of where we were a year ago versus where we are today. So in spring 2020, our kickoff was postponed. We had a few times that our kickoff for the roadmap was scheduled and then postponed for a variety of reasons, including COVID. But we had a small leadership team and a small program team. We did have our priorities identified and we had our implementation plan in development, but we hadn't started actually yet. So our external communications were really focused on just the launch itself. And we had about 1.2 million funds committed, but we didn't have any new full-time hires yet, specifically for the roadmap. So now a year later, we have our roadmap fully launched. We have 25 different working groups that we're going to talk a little bit more about that are a combination of staff and faculty from both institutions working collaboratively across all of the domains. We have a communication strategy to keep everyone informed about our programmatic initiatives and where we are. We've also extended the timeline for 1 year. So we're going to continue to work on the roadmap through FY25. And we have 16.3 million new funds committed, including 9.9 million in the HERF CARES funding. We also, across both institutions, have 7 new roles filled, 5 hires in progress, and 7 soon-to-be new positions posted. And all of this has led us to be able to really make a lot of progress on the program side for implementing this work. Okay, next slide. I'm going to pass it to Katie Dorpinghouse, who's the director of the roadmap, to talk a little bit more about the implementation of our 25 working groups.
Thanks, Peggy. And you can go to the next slide, please. So as Peggy outlined that vision, our 25 working groups are how we really move that vision into implementing the work. And those groups launched in October of 2020. We have between 4 and 7 categorized under each domain, and each of the domains, as you can see outlined here, has a CCC and a CPS domain captain to really make sure progress is being made, lend subject matter expertise, and problem solve with the working groups. Each working group has a very specific objective and goal for what they need to accomplish each year in order to tie into and accomplish those big picture goals, and has a set bi-weekly meeting cadence. And each group contains members from both CCC and CPS to ensure that across our institutions at all levels, we are working together to accomplish the roadmap objectives. Every month, the working group reports out on their detailed project plan that they've put together for their objective and submits a monthly update to the roadmap leadership team for progress monitoring and problem solving. And those groups can be complete, on track, making progress, which would be moving toward their goal, but not quite on the timeline we want them to be, or stalled. And those stalled groups are always brought before the next leadership team committee for discussion, problem solving, and making sure that we have the resources and the priorities in line to accomplish those working groups. You can see here, this is a snapshot of what that looks like earlier in the year. And now as we close in on the year, all of our working groups are making progress, on track, or wrapping up their FY21 objectives. Next slide. This here visually shows how we have those working groups over on the right and how they are each aligned to very specific goals that are tied to those equity strategies that we need to accomplish to meet our roadmap goals and really make those big changes. And so it's a way for us to give groups a really concrete and specific objective, but still make sure that all of that work is closely tied to our strategies and moving in the direction we need it to be. Next slide, please. And to show you how the working groups tie into governance, so those working groups are the primary units for execution of the program work. They are meeting twice monthly, and then they report up monthly to the leadership committee, which includes leaders from both CPS and CCC. The leadership committee is responsible for ensuring timely execution of the programmatic roadmap strategies, monitoring data and progress, and problem solving. And then we have an executive committee that meets quarterly with our chancellor, the CPS CEO, and the deputy mayor for education to provide, to review programmatic, fundraising, and budget updates, approve budget allotments, and any large strategic initiatives or changes. Next slide, please. And I'll pass it back to Peggy to give some of our domain highlights.
Okay, so within each of the domains, you can go to the next slide. We are just going to highlight one major accomplishment for each domain because we have a time limit here, and so we couldn't say it all, but we're choosing one major highlight for each domain to share with you all today. So for domain 1, which is academic readiness and success, our game changer for equity strategies really focus on ensuring that students have the opportunity to graduate high school college ready, so college ready in both math and English, and convening faculty together for collaboration. So our most significant outcome this year has been the continued implementation of transitional math and our pilot of transitional English. Just as a quick, just to make sure everybody knows what these transitional courses are. These are courses that are taught during the student's senior year of high school. That these courses are collaborated on between faculty from Chicago Public Schools and city colleges, and the curriculum is aligned to state competencies so that if the student passes this course with a C or better, they can go directly into college level math or English courses without having to placement test or verify test scores. So it's a wonderful opportunity for students to take these classes and know that if they pass this with a C or better, they can go directly into college level when they come to city colleges or any community college in the state of Illinois. So transitional math, we've been working on since FY18, and we're currently in 50 schools with a little over 3,000 students currently enrolled in transitional math. And we're expecting 75 high schools next year to participate in transitional math, which is huge because a fourth year math is not actually a required course in CPS. It's considered an elective. So these are students who are choosing to take this course as a part of their senior year load. So transitional English, we're piloting, this is our first year. So we're just piloting it now in 13 high schools, and there are 862 students enrolled, and we're expecting to grow to about 30 high schools next year. What's different about the transitional English pilot is that fourth year English is a required course, And so, the curriculum development process has changed a little from what the transitional math curriculum development process was, but it's still very collaborative across our two institutions, with CCC faculty helping to review the curriculum, ensure that it's alignment to the state competencies, and sort of green lighting that they feel that students who pass this course with a C or better will be able to be successful in an English 101 course. Just one more note about the transitional English pilot in these 13 high schools. These high schools range in size and location. So we have some small high schools all the way to large high schools, from the north side to the west side to the south side, that are included in this pilot. And at the end of first semester, we had about 75% of our students were passing these courses with a C or better. And our goal is to make sure that we hit that 70% mark of students passing. So these collaborations for these courses are serving as a model that we hope to replicate for other faculty and working groups across institutions in this coming year. You can go to the next slide. So domain 2 is access to high quality programs. And our game changer strategy here is to create these strategic dual credit pathways that are aligned to credentials with strong labor market value. So this is a really important piece of work that takes working groups across both institutions and also the support of education systems to help us develop these model pathways. And what we've done is we've selected courses that give students opportunities to take sort of the fundamental courses within the field. So for healthcare, for example, students take these key foundational courses, Bio 120, which is medical terminology, and Bio 116, Introduction to Anatomy and Physiology, which are prerequisite courses for many healthcare pathways. Students also have the opportunity to earn the basic certificate in basic nursing assistant and earn that credential. And they have the opportunity, as well as it'll be a part of our career launch, to do youth apprenticeships in their senior year in this pathway as well. So there are 8 high schools that will be prepared to launch this pathway in the fall. And that includes Washington, Dunbar, North Grand, CVCA, Instituto, Gage Park, Juarez, and South Shore International. So on the docket, we also have information technology. So we have 3 different strands in IT for students, and also in advanced manufacturing. And these were just completed, and we're going to prepare for a fall 2022 launch. And we're also beginning work on a construction master builder pathway now as well. Okay, next slide, and I'm going to pass it to Katie.
Okay, so our domain 3, which is our student advising and supports, our game changer strategies are to connect diverse learners to disability supports across CCC, expand and enhance our academic advising and wraparound supports, and streamline the student enrollment experience. And our outcome for this year that we're working through is really expanding the strategy and the support that our post-secondary navigators offer and redefining their roles. And so the post-secondary navigators are CCC employees embedded in 4 academic year high schools. And in the summer of 2020, we were able to pilot, and now we're continuing this work, where our navigators are assigned not just to their 4 high schools, but all CPS and option school high school applicants that have applied to CCC across the district. We created a data dashboard last summer where we were able to group students based on their enrollment process and what steps they needed to complete to move into the enrolled stage, which allowed our navigators to work really efficiently and working with a lot of students, giving them the exact next step or exact connection that they needed to get enrolled. Our navigators last summer were able to matriculate the applicants on their caseload at a 44% conversion rate, which compared to applicants from other non-CPS and option high schools, which was a 27% rate. So we're really proud of their work and really hoping to expand on that in the future. We did see last summer that our option school applicants and our small, predominantly African-American serving schools matriculated at significantly lower rates than that overall conversion rate. And so as a result, over the last year, we've added 9 new schools, 7 of them option schools and 2 small, predominantly African-American schools, to those navigator caseloads to make sure that we are offering equitable supports and really targeting supports to those schools. And you can see here at the bottom, we are currently at 7 navigators serving at 28 academic schools. Over the next year, we will grow to 12 navigators serving 48 academic year schools, which will give us a student impact of about 1,500 additional academic year students supported, and will allow us to, in the summer of 2022, offer supports to all CPS options and charter affiliated students. Next slide, please. Domain 4, which is our career exploration, experience, and preparedness domain, our strategies are to re-envision our career and post-secondary exploration and strategically increase the supply of high-quality work-based learning. And this group is really tied to Career Launch Chicago, which is our youth apprenticeship model program. They launched this summer the Apprenticeship Incubator Model, which is an enhanced paid internship opportunity for CPS students, pairing them with companies that are committed to building out a youth apprenticeship program. And so the students will be in a 6-week, 20-hour-a-week summer internship where they will work in hands-on internship opportunities, also participate and offer feedback on how we can build out really targeted youth apprenticeship programs. Those youth apprenticeships will launch in spring of 2022. So we have finalized our employer partners for AIM to launch and have 51 student slots, which is one above our goal of 50, and are now working to place students in those slots. You can see down here we have students working in engineering, design, construction, auto tech, and healthcare. And we have all of those employer partners for the AIM to Launch program are also committed to launching a youth apprenticeship in the spring of 2022. We are working to expand on employer recruitment for that, which will be confirmed the week of July 26th. Next slide, please. And finally, our domain 5, which is transparency, alignment, and collaboration, and really focused on building that sustainable long-term infrastructure at all levels for CPS and CCC to coordinate. The most significant outcome this year is really building out our scorecard KPIs, which will allow us to progress monitor how our work is going along the roadmap. We've got 4 key success metrics focused on post-secondary enrollment, completion, and economic mobility, and then impact measures and implementation KPIs that build up into those metrics. We also will be reporting those out publicly in an annual progress report in August, focused on programmatic updates, data, and success stories, and then a full scorecard data report in February that will allow us to show our progress on all scorecard KPIs, disaggregate that data, and really talk about our next steps and how to meet our roadmap goals. And I will pass it to Peggy to talk about our campaign planning and next year.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. You can go to the next slide. So when we launched the roadmap, we launched with a goal of $37.5 million over the course of the 5-year implementation track. And we are currently at about 42% to our goal and have $16 million plus committed to the roadmap that have been raised, which has allowed us to substantially build out our teams and allow this work to move further. And we'll have, we'll be able to use those funds really for FY22 and FY23, and gives the campaign team time to start raising the remainder of funds for FY24 and 25. So that's just a quick snapshot there. And you can go to the next slide. And right now we're embroiled in planning for FY22. We're looking at all of our working groups to see exactly how did we do in meeting all of our objectives. What should be the objectives moving forward? Do we need to modify them a little bit? In some cases, we are taking one working group and splitting it into 2. In other cases, we're taking 2 working groups and merging them into 1 as the work evolves and things make sense. So we're working on that now, and aligning also our resources to our working groups, making sure that we have the resources that we need to get the work done. And we will be able to start rolling out our new working groups in August of this year for FY22. So that concludes our presentation. We're also happy to address any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, both of you, for a very detailed, comprehensive report. For those of us like Deb who heard about this and received reports on off, it's nice to have this comprehensive overview of the program. Are there any questions or comments from trustees? Well, good luck.
Sorry, I do.
Okay, couldn't see you.
Go ahead, Peggy.
Thank you. I wanted to know, is there an executive summary, or can we have access to the slides? I'd love to look at them in more detail if possible, if that's okay.
Sure, absolutely. The slides will be made available to you. And in August, you can expect our first annual progress report that will give a lot more detailed information too, including some of the metrics that we have available at that time.
Great, thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to know, is there a specific contact, the extent to which trustee board members are aware of possible partners for the apprenticeship/internship opportunities?
So who's the contact at City Colleges?
Yes.
Yes, her name is Stephanie Gomez. She is the director of our career launch. And I can ensure that you have her contact information.
Appreciate that.
And you can always send it through me and I can make sure that it comes to Stephanie. I think you have my contact information.
Terrific. Thank you.
Sure.
Chair Massey, if I may, I did want to point out that I did ask Dr. Corrales to focus in on the working groups and just the depth of the work that is going on, and purposely asked for this presentation to be done at this meeting in advance of the August report that you'll be seeing, but also in recognition that Dr. Jackson is leaving CPS, right? And I wanted you, the board, and the public to have confidence that she and I and the entire team have been looking at how do we have this at a very deep level that is ingrained in our institutions with these working groups, so it's a sustained effort that can have success. And so I just wanted to point out that during a pandemic year, as we were launching this team, Peggy and Katie and all of the members on our side, but also with CPS, have really accomplished that task in short order. This is a lot of momentum. It's going to have a lot of successful outcomes for students. And it was put on that track during the pandemic and right in advance of, a very challenging transition over at Chicago Public Schools. City colleges will need to continue to take an important leadership role with this roadmap, and we will.
I appreciate
We're
that.
there?
I was gonna say, I just appreciate the comments, Chancellor, and feel like just from an outside perspective that is seen by the civic community as well, that this is much deeper. You and Dr. Jackson obviously are a huge part of this effort and your leadership, but the teams are so integrated and there's philanthropic partners and business partners and community-based partners. I mean, it is a much larger effort than even just the two institutions. And so I think that just bodes so well for sustainability, and you've set it up that way. And so congrats to you and the team. It's really exciting progress.
Thank you so much. And thank you so
Very
much
good.
for the opportunity to present.
Good. If it's appropriate and the board does not disagree, I would like to send a letter to Dr. Jackson on behalf of the board, thanking her we can find appropriate language for her partnership with us over these years and wishing her the best in the future. If my general counsel doesn't say that's inappropriate, I'll do it. Okay? All right, thank you very much. So why don't we have a committee report. The Committee on Academic Affairs and Student Services met earlier today. Vice Chair Swanson, would you please give your committee report?
Sure, thank you, Chair Massey. So earlier this afternoon, we held the Committee on Academic Affairs and Student Services meeting. It was a productive and very informative meeting. We heard from the district office team, Sarah Lichtenstein-Walter, and the Associate Vice Chancellor for Academic Programs, and Veronica Aguilar, Director of Strategic Initiatives for Academic Programs. They gave an excellent presentation on CCC's vision for an inclusive technology talent pipeline, which includes CCC being a clear choice for students looking to directly participate in the tech economy. And we actually talked a bit about how it connects to this larger vision that we just heard about with the roadmap and just the incredible partnerships throughout Chicago as well through that, the tech economy and tech pipeline work. Truly impressive work, and City Colleges is clearly becoming a leader in the work, and it was exciting exciting to hear about and see. So the committee also reviewed and discussed the resolutions, personnel report, resource development report, agreements, purchases, and legal invoices contained in the June regular board meeting packet that is being brought before the board today in this meeting. And Chair Massey, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Sung. We will now proceed to consider the items on the June 3rd, 2021 consent agenda. The substantive details have been posted on the board website, which is consistent with our practice. I would note for the record, the items on the consent agenda were discussed in detail in the committee meeting immediately preceding this board meeting, as Vice Chair Swanson noted during her report. So does any trustee have questions or comments on any of the items listed just described? Or would any trustee like to request separate action on any of the items other than the ones already identified?
Chair Massey. Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Williams, you go first this time.
Okay.
Secretary.
Chair Massey, I would request separate action. I'm looking for the item now. I believe it's 5 point. I apologize, I'm scrolling through. It's for the insurance services. And maybe I've got, go ahead, Trustee Davis, go ahead. I will locate the item.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Chair Massey, I'd like separate consideration of Board Report 1.03.
Very good. Thank you.
And I request separate consideration of Report 4.05.
1.0.
No, 4.
4.04. Yeah. No, the first one was 1.03. Trustee Davis, and 4.05. Trustee Williams. Okay,
Right.
both of those are granted.
Okay. Okay, 4.05 is the agreement. Okay, and the other is a resolution. Okay.
Hearing no additional, or are there any additional requests for separate action or question? If not, may I have a motion to approve the minutes, the resolutions and agreements minus the 1.03 and 4.05. That was an agreement. The personnel report, resource development report, agreement, except, well, I've got to finish here. And the legal invoices contained in the consent agenda and identified as part of the printed agenda on a single roll call vote. Now, Trustee Williams.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Will the board advisor call the roll?
Certainly. Chair Massey,
Yes.
Vice Chair Swanson,
Approved.
Trustee Tillman is not present. Trustee Kent,
Approved.
Student Trustee Faisal Hogg,
Approved.
Trustee Williams abstaining from 4.05.
Approved.
Okay. Trustee Davis abstaining from resolution 1.03.
Approved.
Is that it? Is everybody?
That's everybody. Trustee Lopez and Trustee Tillman are not here.
All right. Okay. So may I have a motion to approve all of these except for the exceptions noted? Oh, we did do that. Okay. Now, we should have a discussion, presentation on resolution 1.03. Do we need a discussion of that? How do we handle this, Ms. Phillips?
No, we can just, we just have the roll call vote, and Trustee Davis has said that she abstains from it. And that's all we have to do in the meeting itself. And the same way with trustee Williams.
But don't we have to have a separate motion for 1.03?
Yeah, that's the one you can ready to do now where you would go
Right.
through.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve resolution 1.03 on a single roll call vote?
Chair Massey,
Yes.
Vice Chair Swanson,
Approved.
trustee Kent,
Approved.
student trustee Fasselholt,
Approved.
trustee Williams,
Approved.
and trustee Davis.
Abstain.
Thank you. Then we have to do the one for trustee Williams.
May I have a motion to approve agreement 4.05 on a single roll call vote?
Chair Massey?
Second?
Okay. Chair Massey,
Yes.
Vice Chair Swanson,
Approved.
trustee Kent,
Yes.
student trustee Fasselholt,
Approved.
trustee Williams,
Abstain.
trustee Davis.
Approved.
Okay.
Okay,
And
let
that-
us show that agreement 4.05 has been approved.
Yes.
All right, now, in accordance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act, the board may hold a closed session for the discussion of matters related to a number of specified topics. Today's closed session will be for the discussion of matters related to 2C1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body. So may I have a motion to go into closed session with a roll call vote?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Chief Advisor, please call the roll.
Chair Massey,
Yes.
Vice Chair Swanson,
Approved.
trustee Kent,
Approved.
student trustee Fasselholt,
Yes.
trustee Williams,
Approved.
trustee Davis.
Approved.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion has been approved. For those of you viewing the live feed, that will remain active, although you will still notice that the board is in closed session. We will return to formally adjourn today's proceedings. For those of you who decide to depart before we return today, thank you for joining us, first of all. And you can look to our website, www.ccc.edu, for information on our next meeting. So trustees, please now sign off here and connect to the closed session. Y'all do that.
Okay, we're just waiting for Chair Massey.
Bonnie, did you see the
Yes.
note from Trustee Davis?
I'm looking now. Okay, hold on. Oscar, are you on here?
Yes.
Yeah, Trustee Davis is having the same problem where she can't get in.
She's
I'm
on.
She's there.
Oh, you're in now. Okay,
It's
great.
a two-step process always.
Okay. We'll give Chair Massey a few more, give him a minute, and then I'll give him a call. Okay, Chair Massey is on.
All right, where's Emron?
He's getting on now.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So we got everybody else?
No, we're still waiting on the student trustee.
Do we have a quorum to adjourn?
Yeah, we do. We do. We can adjourn.
Hmm?
Yes, we do. We have a quorum.
The June 3rd, 2021 regular board meeting is now reconvened. There was no action taken during the closed session. We will provide updates on our website, www.ccc.edu, as they relate to our next meeting or any changes to our existing plans. Now, there being no further business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn? Motion, please.
So move.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
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 The motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much for putting in the work to make this